The airport was a blur of hurried footsteps and muffled announcements as Lena Carter rushed toward her gate, clutching her tattered suitcase. Her sneakers squeaked against the polished floor, and her heart pounded, not from the sprint, but from the weight of everything else. A single mom at 32, Lena was barely holding it together. Her job as a diner waitress in Boise barely covered rent, and this last-minute flight to Chicago was a gamble she couldn't afford. Her mother, her rock, was in the hospital, and Lena had scraped together every penny for the ticket. The suitcase she dragged held everything she could call valuable: a change of clothes, her son's favorite stuffed dinosaur, and a small envelope of cash she'd hidden in the lining. She reached the gate just as boarding began, her breath ragged. The flight attendant barely glanced at her boarding pass before waving her through. Lena shuffled onto the plane, her eyes scanning for her seat, 23B, a middle seat, of course. She stuffed her suitcase into the overhead bin, praying it wouldn't fall apart mid-flight, and sank into her seat. The man next to her, in the window seat, was already engrossed in a book. He was striking dark hair, sharp jawline, dressed in a tailored coat that screamed money. Lena felt a pang of self-consciousness in her faded sweater and scuffed jeans. She turned away, focusing on the worn photo of her 6-year-old son, Jamie, tucked in her wallet. The flight was uneventful, the hum of the engines lulling her into a restless doze. When they landed in Chicago, Lena grabbed her suitcase from the overhead bin and hurried off the plane, her mind on getting to the hospital. It wasn't until she reached her mother's bedside that she noticed something was wrong. The suitcase felt heavier, its zipper smoother than she remembered. She opened it, expecting to see Jamie's dinosaur, but instead found neatly folded suits, a sleek laptop, and a leather-bound notebook. Her stomach dropped. This wasn't her suitcase. Lena's first instinct was panic. Her cash, her clothes, Jamie's toy gone. She rummaged through the stranger's belongings, hoping for a clue. Tucked inside the notebook was a business card. Elliot Kane, architect, New York City. A phone number was scrawled on the back. Her hands trembled as she dialed it, praying he'd answer. Hello. His voice was calm, polished, with a hint of curiosity. Hi, this is Lena Carter. I think we swapped suitcases on the flight from Boise to Chicago, she blurted, her voice shaking. I have yours, and I'm guessing you have mine. A pause, then a low chuckle. Well, that explains why I'm staring at a stuffed dinosaur right now. Lena's heart leapt. You have it? Oh, thank God. That's my son's. I need that suitcase back. Please. I'm in Chicago for a conference, Elliot said. Where are you? I can bring it to you. She gave him the hospital's address, her mind racing. What kind of person carried a laptop that looked like it cost more than her car? And why was he so calm about this? She waited in the hospital lobby, clutching the stranger's suitcase like a lifeline. When Elliot walked in, he was even more striking in person, tall, with warm brown eyes that softened when he saw her. He held her battered suitcase, its frayed edges stark against his crisp appearance. Lena, he asked, offering a small smile. She nodded, suddenly aware of her messy bun and tired eyes. Thank you. I'm so sorry about this. No trouble at all, he said, handing her the suitcase. I checked it out, hope you don't mind. Wanted to make sure it wasn't stolen or something. She flushed, imagining him seeing her threadbare clothes and the dinosaur. It's not much, but it's everything I've got. His gaze softened. It's got character. More than mine, anyway. He gestured to his sleek suitcase, now back in her hands. They swapped bags, and Lena expected him to leave, but he lingered. You okay? You look like you're carrying the world. She hesitated, then the words spilled out. Her mom's sudden illness, the diner job, Jamie staying with a neighbor, the constant struggle to make ends meet. She stopped, embarrassed. Sorry, you don't need my life story. Elliot shook his head. Sounds like you're doing everything you can for the people you love. That's not nothing. His words hit her harder than she expected, and she blinked back tears. They parted ways, but Lena couldn't shake the encounter. She checked her suitcase, relieved to find Jamie's dinosaur and the envelope of cash untouched. But there was something new, a small note tucked inside. Asterisk, you've got this. Asterisk. Days passed, and Lena's mother stabilized. She returned to Boise, back to her routine of long shifts and bedtime stories with Jamie. But a week later, a package arrived at the diner. Inside was a new suitcase, sturdy, practical, with a note. Asterisk for your next journey, wherever it takes you. Elliot Kane Star. Tucked inside was a gift card for a local grocery store, enough to cover months of meals, and a sketch of a dinosaur drawn in careful pencil lines, labeled for Jamie. Lena stared at the gifts, her throat tight. She called Elliot, her voice trembling with gratitude. Why would you do this? You don't even know me. His reply was simple. Because I could. And because you reminded me what really matters. They stayed in touch, first through texts, then calls. Elliot shared his own story, a successful architect who'd grown distant from his family, chasing deadlines instead of connection. Lena's grit, her love for Jamie, had shaken something loose in him. He started visiting Boise, not for work, but to spend time with her and Jamie. He'd bring blueprints to show Jamie, who'd scribble his own designs in crayon. Lena, cautious at first, began to trust his quiet kindness. One evening, as snow dusted Boise streets, Elliot joined them for dinner at Lena's tiny apartment. Jamie was asleep, clutching his dinosaur, and Lena poured coffee as they talked. You didn't just give me a suitcase, she said, her eyes meeting his. You gave me hope. Elliot reached for her hand. You gave me something too. A reason to slow down, to see people again. Their lives, once worlds apart, wove together through small acts. Lena's courage, Elliot's generosity, and the suitcase that started it all. It wasn't just a swap. It was a reminder that humanity's strength lies in seeing each other, truly, and choosing to help.